name's Scott. We've lived in Malta now for about 6.5 years. Before we moved to Malta, we lived in France for 10 years, so we've originate from the UK, but we've left the UK now, about 16, 17 years ago. So Sam was number one, basically all about her family. Her sort of number one thing was caring about people, looking after people, and that's really what she was about. And she was also into sort of travelling and trying new things and just doing new bits of adventure, doing things that the normal person wouldn't do. And we've done things in Malta that you probably have not heard of. Obviously, there's the theme park that closed down years ago down in Calcara. We sneaked into that. We married for 18 years, but together for 23 years. So, like I say, I'm 46, so pretty much my whole adult life, really. So we were referred to hospice just before COVID kind of hit in a big way. So the doctor came out to the house once, which was nice. Because obviously my wife was highly concerned about high blood pressure. She had a blood pressure monitor. Her blood pressure was high and then very high all the time. And the doctor said, look, the first thing he said is, look, to sort of kind of be blunt, the blood pressure is not going to kill you. There is something that's going to end things. It's not going to be your blood pressure. To stop worrying about it. Throw the blood pressure monitor away. So you're kind of trying to take away this big. She's got herself really anxious about it, and he kind of put her at ease. And obviously the nurse came out, and she was just helpful, kind of giving advice. And obviously then COVID hit, so it kind of went away from being an in-person thing. But then, say the nurse was always there. She had our phone number. You could phone her any time. Well, so what happened is in the September, just after we came back from our second trip from Gozo, I had to rush my wife to hospital with huge pain in her side, and they admitted into a general ward in Malta Day. And then obviously at that point, that was the first time she started to have pain medication. So they prescribed her something there, but she was on a general ward, which she found quite distressing because it was a mixed ward. But every 2 or 3 weeks, call with the doctor, obviously checking the medication levels and everything. Obviously, late last year, I don't think it could still come out. I think that was only earlier this year. They've still had to do it over the telephone, but it was really, really good. He was always there. She started to get bigger and bigger. Because where her tumour was, she looked like she was pregnant, so she looked like she was constantly 9 months pregnant. And as the 2020 went on, she started to get fluid as well, a build-up of fluid, and being the kind of person that she didn't ever want to trouble people. But the nurse was kind of not stern, but sort of insistent. Just let the doctor come and see. And she said, no, I don't want to see a doctor. She said, it's okay, I'm okay. But she was quite insistent. And without that insistence, I'm not sure what would have happened. But she insisted, saying she agreed to it. So the doctor came out and felt, it's like, well, you got fluid. So then he booked her into the oncology unit, which is obviously completely night and day compared to a general ward at Malta Day. And she went in and they drained 10 litres of fluid. And she would have not ever had that done if it hadn't been for the nurse pushing us to get it. And obviously it was making her less and less mobile, because obviously, as you can imagine, 10 litres of fluid is what, 6 bottles of water strapped around your middle. And I felt so guilty, because if you read anyway, it says you should talk to them. And I couldn't stay in the room. It was just too traumatic, because she was just writhing, and it was just awful. And so I phoned the doctor and I phoned the helpline again, and they said, we'll get a doctor, somebody to speak to you first thing in the morning. So the next day the doctor came out, and he was just he kind of sat me down and said, well, explain the situation. He said, you need to make this time now to kind of speak to the funeral directors, people like that. He was honest but calm, which I'm so glad he did, because I'll get onto that in a minute. But he said, what we'll do is we'll change your wife's medication. We'll put it on, instead of, because she was taking tablets at this time, we'll put it onto a syringe pump thing, which means we'll give her something else which will keep her calm and slept. And then Saturday came and she slept and slept. At this point, the hospice had already arranged us to have 24-hour carers there, so we had carers coming every 12 hours. So we had somebody there all the time. So I'd gone to bed, and about just after midnight on the 4th of July, which is ironic, 3 years to the day, the carer came in and said, sorry, can you come here? And she stopped breathing. So but she was there, just peaceful as she had been for the last sort of 2 days, just peaceful at home with her family. And we all got to say, this is where the advice the doctor had given me, I had spoken to the funeral directors. So it was, I don't know what I'd have done. The shock was so bad anyway, but if I'd had to try and organise it, I don't know what I'd have done. But I wouldn't have considered doing it if you hadn't said, it doesn't matter when it happens, just get in touch with them now, because we know it's going to be soon. It's not pointless lying. I'm not lying. It's going to be soon. But we obviously didn't realise it was going to be as soon. But because I'd made that contact, it was just a phone number, and they came out and they gave me advice. So because I think without it, the truth, what would have happened is she'd have died on a general ward in Mater Dei. That's what would have happened.
She was scared of that.
And she'd have been terrified of that. Not scared, she'd been terrified to beyond belief to do that. But she got to die, and obviously we've got a young daughter. So she got to die in her own home, and we all got to say goodbye after she passed. There was times where we could each go in and just individually speak. I know it sounds strange. You speak to somebody after they passed, but it was nice in a way because you could kind of still speak to the person, because if they're physically there, and obviously they're not on this earth anymore, but they're physically there, and it is a good thing, really. And I think if they'd have been on a ward in a hospital, it's all clinical, and they just wouldn't have been the same. Say, being in our own home, I think maybe it's not everybody's choice, but that was our choice. That's what we wanted, and it was really, we wouldn't have been able to do it otherwise without the hospice. No, not a chance. You always imagine hospice for sort of old people, and it's just not the case. And it really isn't the case. And I say I think if you were 10 or 100, they give you the same level of care. It doesn't matter what sex you are, I'm British. I might have lived in Malta 6.5 years. It makes a difference. There's no discrimination about whoever you are. You're just somebody who needs care, and they'll give you 110% of what they can do to make your life that bit better. And even now, say the nurse got in touch a couple of weeks ago, just obviously extend if you need any counselling, things like that. So that's obviously there. It's just, even if it's 6 months, a year away, just get in touch if you need just kind of somebody to talk to, and we can arrange that for you. So it's not the care, although it's not as constant now, it's still there if we need it, sort of thing. Just because obviously, my wife's passed, but there's still 3 of us here who might need some sort of counselling in the future. I don't know, but it's an open kind of invitation.